Tansei and Tawau. Thank you for being part of the book club and for joining this Facebook Live event on a Friday afternoon of your summer vacation. My name is Monique Gray Smith, and my traditional name is Mistikwashkigos, which when translated from Nihiwayan to English means little drum. And I'm the author of Speaking Our Truth, A Journey of Reconciliation. And I'm very grateful that BCTLA is offering this book club for you, and very grateful to Michelle and to Kyle for, making this a possibility. And I wanted to just come on. Initially, I wanted to join you live, but that's not going to work. So just wanted to offer, my gratitude to you for being part of this book club and for really being intentional about how are you going to use this book and the teachings woven into it, the stories in it, in your classes, and perhaps even educating other members of your team at the school where you work. When I received the email from Andrew Woolridge, who is the publisher at Orca Book Publishing, my initial response to writing this book was no. I was actually sitting at the kitchen table doing some work, and my wife was making dinner and the kids were outside, and the email subject line said an idea, and I love ideas, so I opened that email right away. And he had just been at a conference in Winnipeg and listening to Dr. Marie Wilson, as you know, was one of the 3 commissioners for the TRC. And she had put an invitation out to publishers saying, we need resources for young people. And so he had emailed me asking me to write a book. And my first response was, and I wasn't even aware of it, it was literally visceral, and it was no, 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 no. And my wife said to me, like, what are you saying no to like that over there? And so I explained it to her, and she came over and sat down, and she's like, I don't understand. She said, you've been talking about history for 20 years and the importance of relationships between Indigenous and non-Indigenous people. So why are you saying no? And I had to really think about that. And a huge part of it was my own internalized racism that had come up for me. Even though I've been on a journey for a long time, at that point I was sober for 24 or 25 years. It's now 30 years as part of my journey. But, I come from both parents who grew up in a time where being Indigenous was shameful. It was hidden. And so in my family, it has been a journey of our own journey of reconciliation, to be truthful. And I talk about that a little bit in the book. And so I wasn't sure I had the capacity to write this book. As well, I wasn't sure I had the capacity to capture some of the stories and do them justice, to really, it felt like an incredible responsibility. And I was like, somebody else is better equipped to do this. And she was like really encouraging. She said, at least go meet with Orca. And I was like, And then she said, our children are watching. And I was like, oh, which was true, right? Like how do I, as a parent, as an auntie, ask the children in my lives, the young people in my life, to be bigger than they think they can be? And I don't mean about ego, but like just using the gifts they've been blessed with. If I'm not willing to do that, to step out and take on immense challenges. So I at least agreed to go meet with Orca. And when I did, I left there with a contract. And I had 6 months to write this book. That's all I had. The first draft was due in 3 months, just before Thanksgiving. And I can remember it was an intense journey to write this book. And a couple of times I actually called Ruth, one of the publishers at Orca, in tears, just sobbing, like, I can't write this book. And she would kind of talk me through, and then I'd get back to my laptop and get working. Because I have residential school survivors in my family. And what happens in this book, as you've read, especially in chapter 2, in the honesty chapter, is I talk about not just residential schools, but other legislative decisions that have unfolded in this place we call Canada that have impacted us. And they are legacies in my family. My mom was removed at birth and she's now 80, and it's been a journey her whole life to reconnect. And so for me, I felt like I was doing some healing work as I was writing. I was doing intergenerational healing work. I was doing healing work so my children wouldn't carry some of the burdens and the baggage and the trauma and the shame and the internalized racism that I carried, that I was raised with. And in that, then, not only was I writing, but I was healing. And so both of those took a huge amount of energy. When the first draft was submitted, the feedback came within just a couple of days. And I remember I was on my way to Prince Albert to do some work. And when I landed at the Calgary airport, I had about an hour and a half layover, and I opened the email from the editor. Her name is Sarah Harvey. And I had to cut 20,000 words. I didn't really know what I was doing. I'd never written nonfiction. I'd never written for this age group. I really was not sure what I was doing. So I had to cut 20,000 words, and I just closed that email like, what am I gonna cut? And I remember I got back on the plane and we were landing in Saskatoon and we were flying over the river, and I was just really not only thinking about, but asking for guidance, like praying, like, help me to figure out what to cut, because it all felt important. And as we were flying over the river, what came to me was, the river runs through the land like the stories run through our blood. And that's then what I knew had to be in the book, were the stories. Yes, the historical chapter as well, but the stories that bring that history to life. And so then I knew what had to be done. And so I encourage you, there's a couple things in there that I want to link back to you. And the first is that really my decision to write the book is in some ways in alignment with your decision to perhaps either teach this book or bring the truth and reconciliation journey into your classroom, whether it's through other books or videos or movies or discussions. That sometimes we have to take risks. Sometimes we have to do things that we don't yet feel fully prepared to do, and have faith that what will come along the way will be the supports that we need in order to do it in the best way possible. Now, it doesn't mean that there won't be mistakes, that there won't be things that we go, oh, geez, what? That's part of the learning, right? That's the 20,000 words that had to be cut. That's the humility. And humility is different than humiliation. Humiliation is about shame. And as adults, we never want to feel that, because it actually doesn't move us forward. And we never, ever want students in our classes to have that emotion, ever. It just halts everything. But I wanted humility. And that was how I approached the writing, was with humility. And that's also what I was thinking about when I was writing, was you as educators, humble educators, to be able to say to students, I didn't learn this when I was in high school. I didn't learn this around my family dinner table. And for most of you, you didn't learn it in college or university. And now you're being asked to teach it. Really tender historical information. And I think it's important to share that with students. That, in the Western world, classrooms are often that the adults in the room have all the answers. And in our teachings, it is a reciprocal learning environment, so that you as the adults have, yes, a lot of the answers through your lived experience and your academic knowledge and experience as well. And the students in the class bring a wealth of knowledge and lived experience as well. So when we can have an environment where the learning is reciprocal, we're all learning through the conversations that we need to make sure are safe and uphold the dignity of everybody who's participating in those conversations. That's why how you begin this journey is so important with the students, so that it is safe. To say to them, We're going on this journey together. We're going to learn, we're going to evolve, we're going to make changes, we're going to laugh, we might cry, there will be joy, there will be all of the emotions, because that's this journey of truth and reconciliation. As well in there, so that's sort of the humble piece of the journey and of doing it. Just doing it. It doesn't have to be perfect. There is no right path. It is your path that you say, this is how I'm going to share and learn on this journey. And then the other aspect to that is the reflection and the ability to say, I don't have all of the answers. So how are we going to learn? What will be some of the steps we might take together so that the students are with you on this journey? It's just like all these stories that came to me, all the people I visited with, the youth, the intergenerational survivors, the survivors, all those stories came to make this book full in many ways. So again, I'm incredibly grateful that you are part of this book club, that Speaking Our Truth was chosen. And you know, I think about divinity, that Speaking Our Truth was chosen before the very first public unveiling of the children in the graves. On May 27th, the 215 children that were revealed to the public from Tecumseh to Secwepemc. Now, you know, it seems like at least once a week that unveiling continues for us. And so the timing of this is really important, and the ability to hold conversations in your classes. And I encourage you as well to share with the families before you begin this journey. Say, this is what we're going to be, this is the book we will be exploring, these are the topics we will be exploring. So that when the students go home to have conversations, the families are as prepared as possible. And that there will be some students who it might not be safe for them to go home to have these conversations. And that's part of your conversation as well with students at the beginning. Like, how do you navigate the difficult conversations? Because there will be family members, there will be friends who aren't yet ready for these conversations. We all come to the conversation at different times in different ways. And so how do you ensure that the students are safe when they go home to have these conversations? So again, you know, thank you for using Speaking Our Truth, a journey of reconciliation. And I look very much forward to being part of your conference in a few months. And may you be watched over, guided, and protected. May you be kept safe from inner and outer harm. May you know joy and beautiful happiness. And may this summer be a time of restoration and rejuvenation and replenishment, and anything else that you need to nourish your spirit, so that when you enter the classroom again at the end of August or the very beginning of September, that you do so with a full heart, with a full spirit, and that you enter that space with love and with hope. So thank you. In my language, we say "kinanas komoten," which is really, it's more than thank you. It's like, I see you, I hold you, I appreciate you, I value you. Hi, hi.